Hello, it's Friday. It's the first day of August. How are you feeling? I am trying to clean up my act, get it together, and back in the groove with my practice. And it begins today, so I appreciate your encouragement. But yes, have not been writing and reading and meditating and exercising the way I need to on a regular basis to stay fit mentally, emotionally, and physically. But today, August 1st, I am back. And so if you want to hold me accountable by making fun of me or asking me about it, by all means, you are welcome to it. And you are welcome to join me on a journey of emotional and physical wellness. I don't know what any of that means. I'm happy to have you here on the podcast. I'll probably go buy a six-pack, get stoned, and watch Rami Malek's The Amateur, but at least I'll have taken a run, and so I'll somehow justify it all. All right, well, listen. I'm doing my best. I'm trying, and that's the whole point. You are as well, and so I hope that you are hanging in there. There's been a lot of news this week. I was so happy to see so many of you at last night's hangout. We had a great time, a great chat. We were there for almost 3 hours, and you can watch it or listen to it because it's recorded, and I share it, and you can, if you're a paid subscriber, access it. So if you get the email today, then you should see that link in there along with a shot of vitamin N. Each morning you get a shot of nature from another listener in the stand-up community, and you should submit yours. Hashtag vitamin N. Send me something. No man-made objects. I can't wait to see your August shots of nature. Get outside. It's getting cold here in the Northeast, by the way. We baked all week. It has been really hot, and now it is pretty cold here this morning on this first day of August, this Friday, first Friday of August. We should probably get job numbers for July, right? We'll see about that. And also just want to mention and promote Farm Jam. That's right. It's Farm Jam, September 5th through 7th. Me and a bunch of my friends, hopefully you, will be hanging out for a couple days in central New York, where I am from, at our good friend Kevin Richberg's farm, Slate Hill Edible Forest. Learn more about what we're going to do at Farm Jam. Check on over to standupwithpete.com. Check the website, and all the details and links are in the show notes if you want to join us, for subscribers only, of course, because we are hanging out at Kevin's property. But I was just up there visiting my parents, went over to Kevin's farm, had some kind of hybrid fruits, plums, apricots that he's growing, and they're unbelievably good. And we'll all have honey. Maybe there'll be a dunk tank, music, lots of fun in the Finger Lakes, the wine country in upstate New York. We're going to have a great time, and several of you are coming, and it's free. You can make a donation for expenses, of course. But anyway, you are invited to Farm Jam, and it's September 5th through 7th in central New York, upstate New York, just outside Syracuse. I hope you'll consider coming. If you do come and drive and you want to bring a tree home from the farm, you can buy a tree, too, from Kevin. He has all kinds of trees. I mean, hundreds, maybe thousands of baby trees. So come to Farm Jam, get some trees that are grown by an amazing human being, and have some fun with some other amazing human beings as well. Let's get to your news headlines and a few clips that I've got for you before my conversation with the great Dean Obeidallah, who I caught up with live on YouTube yesterday. And we had a great conversation about all the important issues that matter to you. That's what I talk about here on the show. Mostly all of the important issues that matter to you, your community, your family, your country, your planet. Going to be talking about a lot about climate change and what the government is doing or not doing next week. That is a big subject I want to focus in on and spend more time on catching up on. So should be interesting and awesome. It'll be really awesome to learn what is happening there. I've been reading a lot about it, but we'll be talking more about it next week. Okay, here are your headlines, starting with tariffs and trade, because the deadline was last night for a bunch of countries, and now the headlines as of early Friday morning: New York Times, Trump unveils new tariffs for much of the world to take effect on August 7th. Reuters, Trump hits dozens more countries with steep tariffs. CNBC, Trump unleashes sweeping new tariffs and a blow to global trade. Wow. That's right. Our tiny Mad King signed a new executive order that adjusted the so-called reciprocal tariffs on a slew of countries with new levies ranging from 10% to 41%. He told NBC News in a phone interview that he was open to more compelling offers, but it was too late for some nations to avoid duties as of next week. World leaders, of course, have been reacting to the developments. Read more all about it at any of the outlets that I just mentioned, but that's a pretty big story, series of stories. And what does it mean for prices? I think that we are going to see a lot higher prices, and I think that it's going to be gradual. There's actually a word for it now, apparently called sneakflation, and I think that that's going to be the story of America for the next couple of years, maybe even. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it's real possible that it's not the Epstein scandal or the starvation of children in Gaza or the massive amounts of corruption or any of the other number of things that are either directly or indirectly impacting us. But the thing that was most likely to impact you and your family the most is the prices of everything. And that's the kind of thing that no one can ignore. If you want to get people's attention, raise the price of something that they regularly buy, from coffee to cigarettes to gasoline to food, etc. The cost of living goes up, and it's going to be a huge issue for anybody that is currently in power. At least that's what we were led to believe from the last election. That and just about any conspiracy theory that you can sell. But that is going to be an ongoing story, I think. The slow, potentially gradual rise in the cost of everything is the big headline, but it's just not sexy and doesn't get the kind of 24-hour attention unless Trump, which he may very likely do, gives us a soundbite to go along with it, like he did with the whole dollies thing. He said dolls, but I like to say dollies to annoy Kevin and friends. You know, maybe you don't get to have two dolls. Remember how much we talked about that? So sometimes you need a soundbite or a clip to illustrate an issue, to keep it in the news, and he certainly is the perfect candidate to continue to give that fodder to all of us. So that, to me, seems like the big headline here at the beginning of August: trade, tariffs, the economy, what it means. Watching these other countries have to fake their love and respect for our dear leader to get what they need to protect their countries is bonkers and terrible, and the behavior of tyrants, and we're the bad guys as a result of it. But this is where we're at. And I think that we should all learn as much as we can about the ripple effects and what this means for our lives, for our finances, for our own consumption. What can we afford? How is this going to affect us in any number of ways? So I am happy to hear from you and your thoughts, and especially your links from the important, interesting articles and analysts that you are reading. Let me know who you trust on this issue. For sure, email me, standupwithpete@gmail.com. The question is, who do you trust when it comes to trade, tariffs, and economics? Trade wars. All right, well, there are other stories, big stories, and big headlines from yesterday outside of the trade wars. But how about this one? This was widely reported, and the New York Times, I think, probably had the angle here, and we chat on the New York Times last night. I still think they're doing good reporting in some ways and days. They say the U.S. is paying more than 150,000 people not to work. That's right. We are paying. The Trump administration, the regime, their human resource division, said yesterday that about 154,000 people, federal employees, that accepted the government's offer to resign in exchange for several months of pay, has amounted to the largest reduction in the federal workforce in the modern era, but it's represented just a portion of the total number of workers who have left the federal government since the beginning of the administration in January. And this tally doesn't include thousands of people who were laid off or fired. But yeah, there you go. I mean, that's a pretty wasteful thing. One would think, paying 150,000 people not to work. I thought this was a big and important story. Yesterday, the Senate voted down a resolution from Bernie Sanders, but it's the resolution that matters. The resolution is to block the sale of U.S. weapons to Israel. And even though the measure failed, 27 Democratic senators, more than half the caucus, voted in favor, which is a sign that what is happening there, these horrific images, videos, and photos and stories that we're hearing coming out of Gaza, this starvation, this strategic starvation that the Israeli government is enforcing in recent months, they're starting to erode the largely what you could call unconditional support for one of America's best friend, the only, quote, democracy in the Middle East, Israel. They've enjoyed this amongst Democrats as long as I've been covering this issue. I talked about the Israel lobby with John Mearsheimer when he wrote the book years and years ago. I've been following this debate and watching all the debates between people like Dershowitz and Chomsky and reading as much as I can. But AIPAC and the Israel lobby, every country has one, by the way, is been very influential with Democrats. But these two failed votes Wednesday night in the Senate to block offensive arms sales to Israel in response to everything that's happening there, it's just a huge, notable shift in the Democratic caucus on the issue of supporting Israel's military campaign. Now, 12 additional Senate Democrats voting in support of a resolution similar to the one that they had not backed in April. I don't know. I think that's a pretty massive move in the Democratic Party, and we'll see if they continue, if they revert, and if they continue to put these types of votes up. But this is a pretty big deal. Senator Bernie Sanders, Jewish man himself, is the one who drew up this resolution. I guess that's worth mentioning. And also worth mentioning the interview that Jon Stewart did with Peter Beinart. I'll try to grab a clip for that today, but I definitely think that you should watch the whole thing. I was very enlightened, and it was helpful, if not painful, to watch, and I recommend it. Kamala Harris said she's going to now release a book focused on the presidential campaign. She announced that she is not running for governor of California, but this book is coming out in September, recounts her campaign for the presidency. She said, I believe there is value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I know it will take to move forward. Former vice president posted on social media yesterday. She said, in writing this book, one truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes the fight takes a while. So there you go. You're going to get the book. It's called 107 Days, I think. It's a good title. Let's see. What else can I tell you? The family of Virginia Giuffre, I can't say her name correctly. She is one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse and crimes. As a teenager, her family has expressed outrage over Trump's recent comments about her. I've got some audio for you coming up from that family. It was on CNN with Caitlin Collins. Very dramatic, very important, though. The Energy Department asked 5 climate skeptics to write a report criticizing the consensus on global warming. I read this whole article. I want to know about it. Like I said, we'll talk more about it next week, and this will be one of the items that I'm sure that we discuss. But the federal government is now, without a doubt, trying to sow doubt about the scientific consensus that man is causing the planet to heat up and the pH balances to be thrown off and the glaciers to melt and all of the rest. So climate scientists said it's all misrepresented. These skeptics that the federal government, the Trump regime hired have misrepresented the research, of course. Also want to recommend Bill McKibben talking to Emily Atkin. I actually haven't read or listened to it yet, but I know it's going to be great. Emily Atkin, of course, of Heated. Haven't talked to her in a long time. Need to catch up. But I'm going to listen to that first, and then I'll catch up with her and David Roberts and Michael Mann and all of our favorite experts, journalists, and scientists when it comes to the issue. Who else should I be reaching out to? The FDA approved a new implant that treats rheumatoid arthritis by stimulating the vagus nerve in the neck. How about that for some good news? Oh, some scientific advancements. Wait, what's this? Yesterday, the regime announced plans for a major renovation of the East Wing that would cost $200 million. $200 million state ballroom. That's what they announced. Okay. So that's needed. Well, we're cutting SNAP, food for kids. Let's build a $200 million ballroom. That sounds good. Oh, that's not going to come from your taxpayer money, though. Apparently, Trump's going to pay for that or something. So don't even worry about it. His dream of building a ballroom at the White House is becoming a reality. How about this? High Noon, the drink, is recalling some vodka seltzers that are mislabeled as Celsius energy drinks. So if you like those Celsius energy drinks, I would just say this. Those energy drinks are potentially worse for you than the alcohol in High Noon. Yeah, they're not well regulated, I learned from Aaron Carroll. I was drinking them, and then I stopped drinking them. And I think you should too. And unless you're on a long trip at night, moderation, I'm sure you'll be all right, like I was. Or maybe that's why I have a rash on my elbow now. I don't know. In other news, Russian forces launched drones and missiles across the Ukrainian capital overnight, killing at least 16 people, injuring more than 150 others. Apparently, these strikes injured the highest number of children in Kiev in one night since the start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, since 2022. Horrible. A dozen Democrats who were barred from visiting immigration detention facilities sued the Trump administration this week, arguing that a new policy imposed the Department of Homeland Security to limit lawmakers' access was an illegal infringement on their ability to conduct congressional oversight. So they're doing what they can, I think, in many instances. And speaking of legal developments, an organization called the Legal Accountability Center, which looks like they're worth supporting, has made some interesting accusations that they accused 3 Justice Department lawyers of professional misconduct, saying that they had made false statements to a federal judge in a high-profile case challenging the Trump administration's efforts to dismantle the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is kind of an unprecedented type of lawsuit, and it's the timing of it is important. It's fascinating. I read that article, and I think it's worth looking more into and watching. And one more legal development, a federal judge said that it was likely that the Trump regime has violated the April order mandating a restoration of news program in it, Voice of America, which is a federally funded news organization that's provided independent reporting to countries with limited press freedom. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this decision by a federal judge. And finally, while I'm not sure that the Supreme Court's going to overturn gay marriage, aka Obeidallah. We'll talk with our friend Eric Siegel about that ASAP and this issue. The fact that groups like Liberty Counsel are trying this, I do think it matters that they're trying. A conservative Christian legal group, Liberty Counsel they're called, asked the United States Supreme Court to review a decade-old case involving a former Kentucky county clerk. Remember her? Remember that lady who cited her faith when she refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. So it's a long-shot effort that the Christian nationalists, activists hope will result in justices ending gay marriage, a legalization of same-sex marriage. So we'll keep an eye on that one. I did want to mention it. Those are the headlines that I've gathered for you today. I can't do it without your support. This is ad-free. Takes a lot of work to produce it. Patreon.com/Pete Dominick. Sounds like I might just be making a list and reading them. Believe me, a lot more goes into all of it when you're hosting an audio podcast, much less a video podcast. So, all right, including the clips, which I've got for you, because that's what's next. It's time for The Clip Show. Headlines and clips every weekday and an interview with a very smart person. You get your value here at Stand Up with Pete Dominick. I don't do it every single day. I'm not perfectly consistent with every element of the show, depending on what's happening in my life. And you've seen that evidenced over the past couple of weeks. But one of those 3 elements is here most weekdays and sometimes on the weekends as well. All right. Clip show, time for the clip show. All right, here's a fun short one from Bill Burr's recent interview with Vulture magazine, where the interviewer asked him about some shit that Ben Shapiro had said about him, and I like it.
Ben Shapiro talked about going to one of your shows and complaining about you becoming woke, which sort of then created this...
He doesn't even know what that word means.
Let me summarize.
His definition of woke is white liberals' definition of woke, and they didn't even know what it was. Yeah. They just took the word from black people. That's the worst thing about our people, is not only do we take from other cultures, we don't even take the time to understand the definition.
Yeah.
He went there to be annoyed so he can then have something to talk about, and then he can make money off of dividing his own country.
Yeah.
Those people, it's treasonous what they do.
All right, Bill Burr. That last part was a little bit silly. It's treason. I don't know why you used the word treasonous, but still, I like it. Okay. Let's now move on to another comedian. It's Jordan Klepper, comedian and a journalist, even though he says he's not. He's doing journalism when he goes to all these Trump rallies, which he has several over the years. And last night, The Daily Show, they put together kind of a montage of Jordan talking to MAGA Trump supporters who brought up the Epstein issues, and he pointed to so many of them. What about Trump and his relationship with Epstein? And they either had no idea, thought it was somehow limited, knew about the extent of it, a certain extent of it, and looked the other way and had a double standard, as you hear. Either way, I thought this 4-minute clip was worth sharing, even though it's just the audio. Again, these are several different events and people that he talked to over the years, and they put this montage together for last night's episode of The Daily Show on Comedy Central. I like it, and wait for the end, I guess.
The Jeffrey Epstein story is everywhere these days, but it's not new to the MAGA crowd. In fact, I've heard some version of it since 2019, although early on, some of the folks were hazy on the finer details, like his name.
Mark Epstein. Yeah, he's got quite a list of people that have showed up at his island from what I've read. You know, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates. So isn't there something there? And doesn't that speak of the debauchery that's at these levels?
Who Jeffrey Epstein parties with?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something there.
Epstein famously spent a lot of time with Trump. Is that an issue?
I didn't know that he spent a lot of time with Trump.
Sometimes the Epstein talk was lumped in with fun conspiracies.
Somebody put me on to QAnon.
Great.
And I believe some of it with Epstein and everything and Clinton and all of those.
You would never vote for anybody who associated with Jeffrey Epstein?
I did vote for Clinton back. I used to be a Democrat, but I think...
And then you voted for Trump.
I voted for
Trump. So you love Epstein's, actually. That might be the one thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know. Like, I could go down that rabbit hole all day, but I believe in some things. So JFK Jr. is still alive.
What?
And he's disguised in the background. So this guy is always behind Trump at the rallies. I'm going to look out for him today, by the way. And he looks disguised. And then 2 down is supposed to be Carolyn Bassett. So I kind of hope I see them today.
So you're saying JFK Jr. is still alive and spending his time in the background at Trump rallies?
Yes.
And how could I forget this man?
I'm Red Pill Ken.
He was more concerned with a different Trump associate.
Total evil. All you got to do is look at Sean Puffy Combs, man. Yeah. He's right in your face. Oh, he's the black Epstein. He's the black Epstein. Well, what is this all about?
Is there a connection with Puffy and Biden? Is there a Biden?
Yes, because they're all a part of the Nazi world order. That's what I'm telling you.
Wait, Biden and
all of
Puffy?
them. All of them. All of them. All of them. Stop, man. Stop. If you don't know that, then I'm giving you...
I'm sorry, I didn't get his latest album. I guess I haven't gone that deep into the discography. While Trump was being indicted in a Manhattan court, his supporters were gathered outside, deflecting.
Biden is a pedophile. You all know that.
Sure.
Well, he's in the White House. He likes to sniff kids. You know?
I'm sorry, wait, you said Biden likes to sniff kids?
Yeah, you've seen all the videos of him sniffing kids all the time. He's been on Epstein Island 26 times.
So you don't support anybody who associates with somebody like Epstein?
No, I wouldn't. No, never.
You're here defending Donald Trump?
Sure.
What do you think about Trump associating with Epstein?
He was on his flight once coming to New York.
You're never going to see a video of Trump next to Epstein.
There is a video, yeah.
There is a video. You're right.
He was in Mardi Largo.
So there is a video and evidence of Trump with Epstein.
Yes, there is.
You know, as you talk through it, it almost seems like a double standard.
Why is it a double standard? You people, for the most part, the fake press, like to call you the fake I don't give a shit. You can't embarrass me. You think you're a journalist. You're not.
I'm not. With that big parade, everything that's coming down the street, what are you most excited to see?
Tanks,
the helicopters.
Yeah. Throw something like this, and you can't think of what else is going on.
Yeah, that's right. That's it.
A couple days ago, we were talking about Epstein's list.
I know, right?
Nobody's thinking about that now.
No, it's not even. United States Army 250th anniversary.
On the Gulf of America, the Tampa Bay Young Republicans attacked the Democrats, and Epstein with very carefully thought-out criticism.
Don't really know too much about it, but I know the Democratic Party is, big into doing stuff underneath the surface level.
What do you mean? Like what?
Like human trafficking.
Oh, my God. The Dems are into human trafficking.
Of course. How do you think they make most of their money anyways?
You won't let that stand?
No.
Just wait till the Epstein files come out.
Right. It's going to happen any minute. So you guys still are anti-human trafficking?
100%.
100%.
Yeah. You guys did invite Andrew Tate to come talk to your group?
Yeah.
Yep. Andrew Tate, kind of big in the alleged human trafficking thing.
You got to make sure that's not going to be happening here.
You are not welcome here, human traffickers.
That's right.
Except you are invited to our group to talk. So how will this group react if the Epstein files are released and Trump is in there? I'm sure we can expect a very rational response.
So JFK Jr. is still alive.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, I thought that was worth sharing. You let me know if you didn't like that audio, if it was too long, but I thought it worked. As enraging and as crazy as it was to watch and see so many of those people and what they're saying from all backgrounds, all walks of life. You can hear a variety of different types of folks sharing crazy perspectives, at least crazy to me and most of us. All right, let's move on to Richard Wolff, who I don't fully trust. This guy engages in a lot of palace intrigue and gossip, and I don't always know about his sourcing. And frankly, I don't even know about this 4 minutes that I'm about to share with you. And everybody is sharing this. We've seen this reporting from him, and I think it's been corroborated to a certain extent from others, although I think you should look into it. At this point, I normally rarely do this kind of speculation, but so many dots have been connected, and I still, if this guy is wrong, he should be disgraced for it. But he interviewed Epstein several times and has hours, hundreds of hours of those interviews. So maybe Epstein was lying to Richard Wolff, but I don't know. I think it's important to understand the beginning of the end or any part of the relationship between Trump and Epstein. And Richard Wolff has the following perspective, given the interviews that he did with Jeffrey Epstein, about why there was a falling out. He explains it pretty well in this 4-minute clip that he was giving to the Midas Touch media outlet.
Now, Epstein's explanation for why this friendship ended is as follows. In 2004, Epstein believed himself to be the high bidder on a piece of real estate in Palm Beach, a house. $36 million was his bid. He took his friend Trump around to see the house to advise him on how to move the swimming pool. Trump thereupon went around Epstein's back and bid $40 million for the house and got the property. Epstein, who was well acquainted, in fact, deeply involved with Trump's scattered finances, understood that he didn't have $40 million to pay for this house. Now, if that was the case, it was someone else's $40 million. At the time, Epstein believed this to be the $40 million of a Russian oligarch by the name of Obeidallah. Less than 2 years later, this same house that Trump had bought for $40 million was sold for $95 million. And it was, in fact, sold to Mr. Obeidallah. This is all a red flag of money laundering. And what Epstein did, and he was furious about losing this house. I mean, there's something about these guys that nothing rouses them so much as a real estate betrayal. Epstein, after the sale of this house, after Trump went around his back, got this house, Epstein began to threaten him. He began to threaten him with lawsuits. He began to threaten him with going to the press and saying that Trump was a front man for a money laundering deal. Trump panics at this point, and Epstein believed, and he believed to his dying day, that it was Trump who went to the police, Trump, who was fully acquainted with what was going on at Epstein's house, fully acquainted for many years. Trump went to the police and, as Epstein said, dropped the dime on him. That is to say, informed the police of what was going on, and an investigation began, and all of Epstein's legal problems for the next 15 years began to unfold. This story about this piece of real estate and their falling out was first published in June 2019. It was published actually in my book, Siege, the second book I had written about the Trump White House. Epstein had recounted this story to me. I put it in this book. Epstein at that moment was in Paris. He read the book. He called me with some alarm, and he said he was afraid that he might have said too much. 3 weeks later, he returned to the United States from Paris and was promptly arrested on the tarmac of Teterboro Airport in New Jersey when his plane landed.
Wow. Wowee. If that's true, then it's a pretty big deal. And at least people should know that that's the record, one part of the record of the relationship between Epstein and Trump. And now you've heard it, so you can decide. We also heard from Virginia Giuffre's family. She is one of Epstein's most prominent, maybe most prominent victim, survivor, although she's no longer with us because apparently she took her life. But her family was on CNN, and in this heartfelt moment, I believe this is her brother talking about Virginia, his sister, and how Trump referred to this recently you saw this press conference today where Trump said that Epstein, quote, stole her. He stole her. And we talked with Sam Youngman and others. That should be the headline. I think Dean mentions it today. Well, the family doesn't like that terminology because she's a human being and she was their beloved sister. And so here is what they had to say. And then we'll have some laughs with Stephen Colbert. But first, listen to this.
She wasn't stolen. She was preyed upon at his property, at President Trump's property. And I think it's very important that we don't treat it like stolen. Seems very impersonal. It feels very much like an object. And these survivors are not objects. Women are not objects. What goes through my mind is that it's time to protect survivors, and it's time to protect the young women and our future generation of young women. So no, she wasn't stolen. She was preyed upon. And it certainly makes you kind of ask the question, how much he knew during that time, right? Even a couple of years later, even after he, I believe he had stated something along the lines of cutting off communication or kicking him out. He described Jeffrey Epstein as somebody who really enjoyed being around young women. And so she was preyed upon. She wasn't stolen. That's a predator that came and took her and did absolutely horrible things to her and so many other women out there.
There you go. Yeah, that was rough and hard to listen to, hear, or watch, but I think it's important, and I hope that people will see it and know who Donald Trump is if they don't already. At least that's the effort, and that's what the journalism is supposed to do. All right, well, here is Stephen Colbert last night. He is going to burn it all down every night, and I am here for it, and will share it with you every day that I am here. Let's take it to the beginning of his monologue last night. This is a pretty great minute here, I think.
It is the last day of July, meaning tonight at midnight, August 1st, Trump's basket of deplorable tariffs are going to kick in. So this is Tariff Eve, okay? Don't forget to leave out a Diet Coke and a plate of nuggets for jolly old St. Prick. Now, fans of random economic chaos will remember that back in April, Trump claimed that he had tons of deals under his belt, saying, "I've made 200 deals." On the other hand, no, he didn't. The deadline is here, and he's only made 8 deals because his demands are insane. And though he says this is all about, trade fairness, clearly some of his tariffs are just for spite. For example, he raised Brazil's rate to a whopping 50% to punish them for prosecuting his authoritarian pal, former President Jair Bolsonaro, for attempting a coup. Well, obviously you can't have that. I mean, imagine if we lived in a world where everyone who attempted a coup went to jail. Sorry. How long was I happy?
Yeah, I love it. Good stuff. And expect more every day. Okay, that's all I've got for you. Headlines and clip show. Hopefully you got as much out of it as I put into it and learned from producing the whole segment each and every day, and I can't do it without you. So sign up now or pay more if you want. Patreon.com/Pete Dominic. Right now, it's time to get to my conversation with my old friend, Dean Obeidallah. You can listen or watch SiriusXM, the Progress Channel, 6 to 9 every weekday. We love whenever Dean joins us. You should read his Substack as well. Subscribe to him over there where he's always doing great work. And of course, Dean and I go way back, way back. He was on stage the first night I went to a comedy club in New York City, I believe, in July of 1995. And we've been friends ever since then. And I always love talking to Dean. I love his perspective. And let's do it. Right now, you can watch this at youtube.com/standupwithpete. It's time to talk to my friend, Dean Obeidallah. There he is. Hi, my friend. Thank you for
my friend.
Doing this. I know you have a very busy day. You're doing all kinds of interviews on Substack, on Sirius. Do the same people that join you on Substack, are they then the guests on the Sirius show as well? Or are you doing
in general, if I record it on Substack and it goes well and the quality of the audio has gotten better, then I can play it on this show. So in general, yes, but I only do one Substack Live a week. That's it. I limit it to that. Just too busy with other stuff.
Fair enough. I just watched your interview with V. Spahar. Is that your name? She's great. Sphere. I was on your show with her once on panel, but I just that one-on-one interview you just did was great.
There's no pronoun. It's they. Not to get into it.
No.
All right.
I'll get it right.
Just because I want V to know that I'm standing up for V. That's all. Go right ahead. It didn't come from militia. It didn't come from Matt. Even it feels weird to even say it to people, but
I don't. People, I'll call anybody with my thing with pronouns. I'll call you whatever you want to call. Whatever you want to be called, I'll try to do it. Don't get mad at me if I mess up.
Right.
No, I'm trying. And I don't also think I need to tell you mine. Like, I don't care what you call me. Call me she. I don't care. It's hilarious. Whatever you want.
Did you ever, a friend, it's different, of course, than V, but I know one person now who I knew as a guy who then transitioned and now is a woman. And I never knew someone. And it's weird in my brain because I knew the person for 20 years. And it was a person who was a writer at Saturday Night Live when I worked at Saturday Night Live in production. And we had kept in touch a little bit. And then now, the transition. So you're like, you want to be respectful at all times. And it's very like, we want to do the right thing. That's what's interesting about it. Like,
I've never known.
I always want to help people.
Yeah, of course. It shouldn't be that controversial. I've never known. I know a lot of people who are trans, identify as trans, but I didn't know them before they transitioned. Right. I know a lot of people who are gay who used to be straight. I know a lot of them.
Really?
No, a few. I
know people who were funny at one time, but they're not funny anymore. I don't know. They might host a show called Stand Up with
Transitioned into not
formerly Pete Dominic, the guy formerly known as the comedian Pete Dominic.
When I went from just hosting the comedy show at Sirius to hosting, the political show, I'll just never forget Jim Brewer attacking me. He's like, "Oh, now you're a political comic? Y'all serious? Now you're quitting comedy?" And I was just like so hurt by it at the time.
Wow, that's weird at Jim. And then he became political. That's the irony. Not a political comic, but he became political.
Yeah, exactly. He was so mean to me. He was always so mean. A lot of those guys that were older than me at Sirius were always mean to me. I never bothered me because I always felt bad for them. I was like, "Why are you so mean? You don't have to be mean. Still trying to haze me, really?"
I guess that was part of it, right? That was the thing. Like people like Rich Voss and others, it didn't matter how long I did comedy. I was always, get me a cup of coffee.
I want to ask you, a cup of coffee. It's funny. I have in my notes, Rich Voss, Judy Gold, because I wanted to ask you just about how the Arab-Israeli conflict, the genocide in Gaza has divided the comedy community. Like Judy used to be one of my closest friends, Judy Gold, and I was always really friendly with Rich Voss. I haven't talked to either of them in a long time, but I've seen their posts, and their posts seem to be basically like, if you don't support Israel fully, then you're not even my friend anymore. Like really divisive kinds of things I have felt. Have you noticed that in the comedy community?
I'm consistent. I didn't like Rich Voss before. I don't like Rich Voss now. Nothing. We were never like buddies. I only saw him at the clubs and we would talk here and there. Bonnie's wife was very nice. I used to talk to Bonnie.
Love Bonnie. Yeah.
But so Judy used to come on more. And I even talked to her, if somebody is Jewish and they're very supportive of Israel, I completely understand it. It might be in a way that's painful for me to see as being a Palestinian heritage. I understand it. It's the people who are not Jewish who are out there calling you pro-Hamas if you talk about Palestinian humanity and demonizing you. To them, it's a political game. The people who are Jewish, it's very personal. And for people who are Palestinian, it's very personal. And then you get beyond that, people just who are humanity, to them it means something. It's very important as well. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying I've always had a great deal of grace for people who are Jewish, who the Jewish people have been through horrific things through time. I mean, through time, horrific. And I understand the desire to have a homeland. The question is, at what price to the Christians and Muslims who live there? Like, at what point do you go, like, this is not consistent with my values and my faith and what I want, and it's not a safe homeland. It's so that's the line. Like, where do the people break from that? But yeah, it can be tense and stuff. Judy Gold, I've liked a great deal. I'm still going to always like her, even if we disagree on the Middle East. But it's harder to have any conversation about the Middle East. I just can't do it.
Let's pick up where we are right now with the Middle East. I definitely want to talk to you about it. You've never been shy talking about it, and certainly not even around October 7th. I think you've handled it really well on the air, as well as you can. I know you've been attacked in a lot of different ways and so on. But I wonder where we're at right now and what, if anything, has changed. It seems like there is some threshold that people will allow for bombing Palestinians. They've got hostages, and you want to make the argument even that their kids are going to grow up to be terrorists or something, like some horrific arguments like that. I wonder if starving children is something different, if that crosses a different threshold, if more people are paying attention because you see kids' bodies and you hear from physicians and aid groups. I wonder if the starvation strategy has changed anything.
I think it certainly has. Look at France is going to recognize Palestine as a state they weren't going to do before. England is saying, if you continue down this path, Netanyahu, we're going to recognize Palestine as a state. Canada said they're going to recognize Palestine as a state. Yeah. We've seen even a few Republicans, including Donald Trump, who I despise, say the kids are starving. You can't fake it. I've seen the images. Marjorie Taylor Greene calling it a genocide. I don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene in any way. I'm just saying it's breaking through because you see images of children dying. Experts right now are saying, and I was just reading before we came on, that famine experts, human rights experts are saying this is getting to what happened like in Ethiopia. Like it's getting to that level of desperation and death that's happening. And it's all man-made. This is not because of climate. This is not because of lack of wherewithal to have food delivered. It's because Netanyahu, they made a plan. It's called the General's Plan. People can Google it. That's the actual term. The general said, let's starve Hamas so they surrender. But the result is they are willing to sacrifice all the other Palestinian Christians and Muslims and children and women who were there to starve Hamas. This is barbaric. Maybe in the time of sieges of like in the Middle Ages or something, that would be acceptable war tactics. It's not today. It's war crimes. There's no doubt.
What do you say to people when they say, well, if they would just release the hostages, everything would be okay? What do you say? Like, that's not it wouldn't be, and we know it. What do you say? Well, I wonder what your answer to that is.
I say pass generally. I go pass, and they go, what? I go, I pass. That's it. Like, you can't pass. I'm like, you can't tell me what to say. I pass. I move on to the next question. Let's go to the bonus round right now. Can we?
I don't think that's an answer.
No, that's not my answer. My answer is, look, not many people say that to me. I guess they know my background and how outspoken. It would make no sense. It's not like on October 6, 2023, it wasn't an open-air prison in Gaza. Right. And it wasn't a killing field. It was, and the people were struggling, and they couldn't even just daring to dream was cruel. Now, the goals of getting rid of Hamas and releasing the hostages are gone. That could have happened already. There was a deal reached before Trump got sworn in, and Netanyahu breached the deal. And I spoke to a father, an Israeli father who's Jewish, whose son is in the IDF, who is a hostage. And he came on my show to slam Netanyahu. He said, because he breached the deal and violated, my son's not home. So his son and about 20 other people are still there because Netanyahu wanted to prolong the war. So it wasn't about releasing. And at this point, the goal is no longer releasing the hostages. The goal is driving the Palestinians, the Christians and Muslims out of there and turning it into essentially a Jewish-only settlement like you have in the West Bank, the whole Gaza. That's the real goal. That's the stated goal of the Israeli government right now.
What do you say when I heard Mandy Patinkin so articulately, passionately talk about that Israel's genocide, whatever you want to call it, whatever's happening, so people don't get hung up on words, but it is creating anti-Semitism against the Jewish diaspora around the world. I have a hard time with that because it shouldn't create anti-Semitism, but people assume that if you're Jewish, you support what Israel's doing, and therefore I don't like you, or I should even kill you in the most extreme examples that we've seen. So what do you say about that? That it's creating anti-Semitism around the world?
I don't know if it's creating anti-Semitism. I do know that there's. I mean,
that's what he said. That's what Mandy said. So
right? No. I'm not disagreeing with Mandy. I mean, I'm saying there could have been anti-Semitism there before. I don't know. What I will know is talking to people like Peter Beinart, who's probably on the same page as Mandy, and I know Peter is a friend of mine. We've had this very conversation, where the media will say it's the Jewish state, and the Jewish state is doing this, and the Jewish state is doing that. And what happens a lot is when you criticize Israel policy, the policy of a government, there are defenders who go, "Oh, you're being anti-Jewish, you're being anti-Semitic." So it's been conflated by others, and the result is now you go, "Look, they're starving." The Israeli military bombed a Catholic church last week, killing 3 people Christians sheltering, and wounding the parish priest. And that's the fact. And the truth is Netanyahu did not even acknowledge it until, of all people, Trump called up to criticize him for it. And then it was a mistake. We're looking into it. That's not the first time they bombed the Catholic church. I think we're getting to a point where you can have a more open conversation about Israel. I think the next point is the real conversation about the right-wing administration that runs Israel is a Jewish supremacist administration, the same way of white supremacists. They do not view Christians and Muslims as the same level. We are inferior. That is not a mainstream Jewish view. That's not a mainstream Israeli view. That's the view of Ben Gvir, Smotrich, Netanyahu, and the other right-wing. By the way, people don't get that. We are inferior.
That creates anti-Semitism, and more importantly, I think it creates anti-religion. I don't like that. It makes me mad at your religion if you think because you identify as this that you are better than me or anyone else for being religious or not. Like, do whatever you want, but you're not better. I mean, I'm better because you're the
best. Pete's the best. If we know it's stand up with the best, Pete Dominic. That's the
not religious anymore.
You're not.
No, I haven't been. No, I grew up Catholic. I did the whole confirmation thing. But then I listened to George Carlin tape, and I was like, what? What are we doing? Can't believe I was buying all that shit.
Religion can be good or bad for everyone, right? It can justify horrible things. There are racial supremacists in America, white supremacists that are part of this administration. No. One just got confirmed to be head of national terrorism and counterterrorism. And he's a guy who buddied up with Nick Fuentes and his other stuff. And you're wow, that's crazy, right? That's the world we live in. Donald Trump's policies, anti-DEI, are white supremacist dreams come to power. So we understand that's what they're about. They're not going to – it doesn't mean they're going to go kill you because you're of a certain skin color or a certain religion. They just don't view you as the same. That's why everyone in America of color who is successful, the right calls them DEI hires. That's what they call them, right? Because they could never have gotten there because a white man is inherently superior. So anyone of color, you've had to be helped by some policy. That's the white supremacist myth that they peg on.
I do think Stephen A. is a diversity hire, is a DEI hire.
Who is?
Stephen A. He's only famous because white people love him. I posted something about Stephen A. Smith. I was like, he's for white people, right? And like just Twitter, whatever, like just tons of black people like, yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's what they said. That's interesting. It's interesting when you hear from within the black community, people that we know, and like Joy Reid would tell me, right? And others would tell him like, okay, now I get it. I didn't know. I'm like, all right.
I always check in with black folks like off the record, like even like people like Laura Coates or Ellie Mistal or Chrissy Greer or Joy Reid. I've had plenty of conversations with her, and it's just like, no, we don't mess with that person or this person.
The person's not part of the club.
Enough about Don Lemon. I love Don. Oh, come on.
Skin folk ain't kinfolk. That's the
expression
always.
They tell me. Black folks and black people have held up white supremacy. Women have held up patriarchy. I mean, it's not like you get a pass. You got to walk the walk as well as just say things. Anyway, enough about that. Let me ask you about this whole Epstein thing. You've been covering this. And demanding prosecutions. You're saying all kinds of things. This is crazy. I don't even know where to start. I'm pretty much obsessed with it. I think the way a lot of people are. I think the best point that I've heard, can I start there? The best point I've heard is basically that Trump created all this demand. He gave them crumb after crumb after crumb. He fueled the conspiracy. And he said, well, there's going to be justice for these people. And Steve Bannon said, once we get them, everything's going to be better for everybody because they're the shadowy elites that have been controlled. They're the reason your life sucks, all this stuff. And so he led them there, and they're starving for it. And then he's like, forget it. He leads them to the water, and then he just moves the water. No, you can't have it. It's entirely a creation in many ways of him, and now it seems to be eating them alive. What do you make of just that point of that narrative? Do you think that's –
No, I think, look, the left is not good at creating narratives or keeping it going in the media. The reason this is going is that the right created the narrative and they're fueling it. And the guy fueling it is Donald Trump. It's the Barbra Streisand effect come to life right in front of us where stop talking about it. Who was that girl? Yeah, she worked for me. Jeffrey Epstein stole people from me. You're like, here's another story. Here we continue on. I think a part of it too, I think you're right, 100%. Created by the right. Their appetite was for this story. Pam Bondi goes in March on Sean Hannity, mocking Biden. We're going to be transparency. I just got thousands of documents. We're going to give them to you. In July, you get a memo going, you're getting zero. So that was a lack of respect. If they gave 200 documents and they go, the others are with children and stuff, well, you could have a debate. They said zero because Trump wanted this to go away. And it fueled, and I think it was really dismissive to the Trump base. And the MAGA people, a lot of them have a chip on their shoulder. They've been dismissed by the elite, like Pete Dominic. You're very elitist. Guys like you, very elitist. We talk down to them because we should.
I fly over them.
The Trump supporters said to me, "You think you're better than me?" I'm like, I don't think it. Like, there's no need to even say think.
By what measure am I not? I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but I'm just saying honestly. I think there's something on a human level with them. A lot of them truly, all bull aside, who have really felt society has dismissed them. The elites have taken advantage of the system. And here's Donald Trump, my champion. And Trump treated them just like the elites they hate. You're getting zero. That was disrespectful as a human being to MAGA. And I think that's what turned them. They're like, he's being a jerk to us like all the other Democrats and people with power, university professors or whatever else is. And I think it's deeper. I think it's personal that is fueling this. And also Trump's cognitive decline. He's not good at shifting the story anymore. He's just not good at it.
Oh, he's been so hard. He's really failed. He put out an actual AI of Biden being arrested. He's like, this is what it would look like, you guys. No, they didn't care. It's only gotten worse every day, and he's fueled it. He's fueled it.
But his decline, if you see, I'm not saying this because I'm partisan. I am partisan. I think his cognitive decline has become undeniable. He's 79. It's really there. He's not good at this. Not that he fell asleep yesterday, which he did. It happens. He's 79. It's a long day. He's not – in the old days, he would have never fueled his story. Yeah. He would have done something to stop it. Instead, he was like, Epstein, he did something inappropriate. Should have stopped there.
I don't know about that. I think I of course, that he's had some decline. We all do. Of course, it's market and you could see it. But I almost wonder if you're giving him a little bit too much credit or not giving the people, the guardrails in Trump 1 more credit. Because the reason why he didn't do and say a lot of the crazy things he's doing and saying now is because they wouldn't let him, or he couldn't get it done, or the, quote, deep state, the bureaucracy, the H.R. McMasters or Mike Pompeo's maybe, I don't know, held him back somehow. And now there's none of that. There's nobody holding him back. Nobody standing up to him. As a matter of fact, it is crazy, this cartoon we're living in where it's a dear leader. I mean, when they get around him, they just have to kiss his ass. Every foreign leader just trying to negotiate with him, hates him, but tries to like butter him up. I mean, those South Africans were the most obvious ones. Like bunch of black South Africans clearly hate the guy, but they brought like white golfers to the meeting.
Like, I give him credit. Look at the
that's crazy that you would have to do that in that way.
We don't look. This is not permanent, but right now we don't live in a democratic republic. If you believe that's defined by checks and balances as laid out in the Constitution. Right now, Congress has no check on Trump because of Republicans control it, and the Supreme Court is controlled by the GOP. There are no checks on the guy whatsoever. We have to win the House in 2026 to get back to closer to Democratic Republic. He could literally steal the tariffs that are coming in. Nothing could be done. DOJ is not going to prosecute him. The court's going to say it's an official act. He'll justify any way, and Republicans will not do a thing about it. That sounds over the top. That's literally what could happen right now. Well, he could steal the tariff money.
Well, let me ask you about that before I let you go. We've talked about, obviously, Gaza, Epstein, not enough. But the last question is the least sexy one, which is we have been hearing about these trade talks and the tariffs and all that. And I do think that prices are going to go up on everything. But potentially dramatically. the dollar, like it's coming. People predicted it happening faster because of the original tariffs. He tacoed and he brought them back. And so things calmed down and slowed down, but they're back. And I mean, I feel like it's inevitable. Nothing's cheaper, it would seem. Nothing from cars to cereal or eggs. I don't think anything's really dramatically cheaper. So doesn't that matter to people in terms of turning them as much as anything else?
We're in an economic bubble. We are in a bubble. Bitcoin really defines the bubble. This is going to fall like a house of cards. And not that I wish it.
Why do you think that? I don't know. I haven't heard
Bitcoin
that.
has nothing. There's nothing to support it. It's not full faith and credit of the United States of America. The U.S. dollar is sliding. Bitcoin, they go, it's a hedge. It's nothing. It's literally a made-up currency.
Why, if Bitcoin crashes, then just its investors lose.
The rest down. Well, people use their Bitcoin money to buy stocks, to buy homes, to buy other things.
Mm-hmm.
If the bottom falls out on that, just like the housing bubble, if you want to know where the next big bubble is, like the housing bubble with the Great Recession, look at crypto. But it's not just that. You're absolutely right. Today there was new inflation numbers. It was slightly higher. It keeps getting slightly higher. And what Trump has done now, the new tariff that he wants everywhere except for a few places, 15%. The companies can't absorb 15%. We have to pay some of it, maybe 8, maybe 9%, maybe 6%, whatever it is. Prices are going to keep going up.
They're holding back on passing that on.
It's going to happen.
There's a word that economists are using called sneakflation. They're just holding on to it. They're slowly leaking it in. And in the live chat, I see our friend Kim Nyborg said, I just bought 10 tubes of ground beef for $60. Oof. And all my reaction is, why are you buying tubes of ground beef? Anyone? Why 10? What do you have, a kennel?
And did you just post that to resell it? Is this like eBay for meat? Your show, not meat show.
Come on and sell what you're not using that you bought. Your 10 tubes.
There's a guy on my corner. I walk by. I got ground beef. I'm like, really, ground beef? Ground beef? What's ground beef? I'm like, where are you selling eggs? Last year, eggs are gone. Eggs are done. Ground beef. Top loin. You want top loin? I got top loin. It's got the jacket with all the cuts.
We gotta talk more. I love talking to you. I love being on your show. I always love talking to you. I know you got a very busy day, so I'll let you go. But thank you very much for joining me. Who's on the show tonight? You going to plug it or anything else besides your Substack?
Yeah, I have Hind Ayub, my fiance, because she's doing a one-person show that opens in San Francisco this Saturday at Z Space about being a Palestinian born in Israel. So she's on. Hani Amaldoun, he's lost 100 family members in Gaza. He does a lot. I know, literally 100. His brother was one of the famous chefs who worked in the soup kitchen. He was killed in Gaza. So he's on to talk about his work with the UN Relief Works Agency and vSphere. That was the thing that you watched. That was recorded.
A really good interview on Epstein. Yeah, that'll be people should definitely watch that now on Substack or later.
Please watch. I'm needy. I am needier than Pete. So please watch me.
Yeah. Well, nobody ever doubted that. Dean, thank you. I love you and everyone. I appreciate you. There he goes, everybody. Yeah, Dean Obeidallah. Needier than Pete. I love it. I hope you liked it. What did you think? Let me know. Let Dean know. Let him know that you heard him here on the show. Follow him on all the social media platforms. Listen to him on Sirius, subscribe on Substack, and that is what I have got for you today. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, John Carroll, for writing the music. Thank you for subscribing and supporting the show. Go watch last night's Hangout. Thank you to everybody who joined us there. Come to Farm Jam September 5th through 7th. You bumblebees who listen all the way to the end, I hope that you are doing well this weekend. Happy Friday, and find your joy and do some push-ups. And if you get lonely, reach out to a friend or go on the Discord platform here at Stand Up with Pete Dominic. There's always folks to chat with there. Go answer Megan's question of the day or daily question. Love those on the Discord platform, and that'll bring you some joy. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got to stand up. That's right. We got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. Don't get up off of your butt, down off of your fence. Even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know you're laying down. Oh, you better stand up. Stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up. Stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up. They had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change would begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. Alright, we got to speak up, we got to reach up, and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it than now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up.